Well, the Farnborough International Airshow has resumed after a 3-year hiatus due to the pandemic. It kicked off with a major deal announced between Delta Airlines and the American aircraft maker Boeing. Delta said the order for 100 Boeing 737 MAX 10 aircraft will help modernize its fleet, and that it expects the MAX planes to reduce fuel consumption by 20 to 30%. The order is great news for Boeing, which has recently struggled to compete with its European rival Airbus. Well, for more on this deal, I want to go to our correspondent at the New York Stock Exchange, Jens Korte. Now, Jens, Boeing has really struggled to keep up with Airbus after its MAX 8 was involved in deadly crashes in 2018, 2019. Now, this Delta deal is the latest in a series of 737 orders. Does this mean Boeing is finally moving past those crashes?
Well, Christy, it definitely is welcoming news. There's no doubt about it, especially as Delta has not ordered any planes from Boeing for quite some time. The last bigger order is about more than 10 years ago. Also, what is quite astonishing is that we see this big order despite that those MAX 10 planes do not even have official approval yet in the United States, and there's still a certain chance that maybe Boeing has to cancel the production altogether. But now we have this big order. In total, Boeing has more than 700 orders for those 737 MAX 10 planes. So that is definitely some good news. But yeah, it's going to take some time to fulfill those orders. And the slim chance, actually, that Boeing might not get the approval in the next couple of months might be one reason why the stock of Boeing actually didn't do that much here in the Monday session.
Jens Korte, thank you so much. Well, our correspondent Jack Parrick is at Farnborough. Despite the chaos currently plaguing the industry, he saw quite a lot to be excited about.
The new Boeing 777X, a giant. And it's one of the star attractions here at the Farnborough International Airshow. The event was ignited by the news that Delta Airlines had placed a firm order for 100 of the 777X's smaller brother, the Boeing 737 MAX, a deal worth over 17 billion euros.
The ultimate customer, the aviation market, has been severely hit in the past 2 years. There's no hiding that, it's no secret. But it is an industry that's also in recovery, and you need positive signs of that recovery, and what better example than the Boeing deal that you just talked about.
Elsewhere at the show, the scaling up of commercialised delivery drones was brought into focus, with the British Business Secretary announcing a €300 million investment in drone superhighways. Good news for developers and manufacturers here, who say initiatives like this will clear up a messy regulatory landscape.
It is hard to follow, especially for us. We have clients from all over the world asking different questions, and we, in many ways we don't know what to say because we don't know all those laws and everything that is now in position. So we think that this is starting point for drones.
Also significant attention landed on the prototype air taxis. They may look futuristic, but the companies making them reckon they'll be fully operational by 2030 even.
Well, let's cross to our correspondent, Jack Parrick, who is in Farnborough for us. Great to see you and to see the planes behind you. What's the mood like there? Because we all know about the well-documented problems facing airlines and airports at the moment, but what about exhibitors at Farnborough?
Yeah, that's right, Rob. This is a very interesting type of air show. Obviously, the priority for the exhibitors is to show the best of the global aviation industry. But passengers around the world, and especially here in Europe, are seeing enormous lines and queues and troubles and cancellations at major airports like London Heathrow, like Amsterdam Schiphol, and in fact, all across the continent. So the mood here is trying to show what the best of the new and future business is, but an understanding that they need to focus on what's really important, which is keeping people moving at the moment. I think what's interesting from a very initial scan of the exhibitions here is that a lot of them are not only about the sort of traditional airline industries, your Boeings, your Lockheed Martins and all of these companies, but also there's a lot of different exhibitions with things that look sort of like small flying cars, essentially, very futuristic. And I think that's something that Farnborough is trying to look into to make sure it leads on the progress of the aviation industry.
You mentioned Lockheed Martin. We can see some military jets behind you there. Obviously, also a key bit of context to this is the war in Ukraine. Now, is that something that's altering how the exhibitors are approaching this year's Farnborough?
Yeah, it definitely is. As you can see, yeah, there's some fighter jets behind me. There's a lot of military helicopters just over there. The question is sort of what does this mean, the context of the war in Ukraine? We know obviously that NATO has said that Ukraine's military should be swapping into Western military supplies so that it's interoperable with NATO rather than the old Soviet equipment that it traditionally uses. But Ukraine's military is unlikely to be buying these sort of aeroplanes. Instead, they're using different sort of aircraft, anti-aircraft missiles, essentially, that are being supplied by Western allies in a large part. So the question is, what does it mean for this industry? Because these planes will be being sold to the British military and to the US military. But there is, as you say, there's a sort of context here. There's an understanding that war in Ukraine, against Ukraine, is having an impact on every single industry, because it is a large part of why aviation is struggling as well.
And just very briefly, if you can, normally billions of dollars or euros worth of deals are struck during these air shows. Is it looking the same this year?
Yeah, so the real focus is on the deals that Boeing, the American aircraft builder, is signing. Now, we understand that between Delta and Lufthansa, around $15 billion worth of aeroplanes are being sold, including the 777X behind me, which is sort of the big, enormous star of this show that everybody is coming to see.
All right, Jack Parrock at Farnborough for us. Thank you very much.